Hello and welcome to this quick video introducing the different ethics categories under the Nevada ethics law. There are lots of different rules under the ethics law, and so it can be easier to understand and grasp ethics concepts if we put them in different categories. And so we'll talk about those, and then there are other videos that dive into each of those topics in more detail. Okay, so here are the three what I like to call the buckets of the ethics law. The first one is improper benefits. The second one is disclosure and abstention. And the third one is cooling off. They're all a little bit different. The improper benefits bucket is the largest bucket of ethics rules. And then disclosure and abstention are a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to grasp. But we still see ethics issues in those other two buckets. So there are lots of different rules which are covered in other parts of the ethics training. But the improper benefits bucket has this basic formula. You are using your government position to create a benefit, and that benefit is for yourself, your own pecuniary interests, which is our ethics term for money interests, or it's to someone that you have a commitment in a private capacity. So there's a video about who you have a commitment in a private capacity. The ethics law has a magical list of relationships that automatically trigger conflict of interest. If you're using your government position to benefit somebody on that list, then you're going to run into potential improper benefits ethics issues. Or you're using your government position to create a benefit because you got a gift or a loan from someone. So that's the basic formula for improper benefits, right? You cannot be using your government position to create a benefit, and that benefit is not for the general public or the general good, but instead the benefit is for yourself, to someone on your magical list of relationships, or because you received a gift or a loan. Take a second and go ahead and read this quote from President Wilson. Government ought to be outside and not inside. Everybody knows that corruption thrives in secret places and avoids public places, and we believe it a fair presumption that secrecy means impropriety. The disclosure and abstention rules in Nevada basically say if you have a conflict of interest on a matter you're working on, you have to disclose that. You have to be transparent about that conflict of interest. And in some cases, that conflict of interest is going to require you to sit out taking your government action. It's basically that simple for the disclosure and abstention bucket. You have some sort of relationship that is coming into intersection with your public job, and so the ethics law requires you to be transparent about that conflict, and in some cases to sit out taking the government action. And then the third bucket, the last bucket, is the cooling off category. And the cooling off category has essentially two different prongs. The first one is it puts limitations on who you can go work for, and it also puts limitations on what you can do no matter who you work for. The important thing to remember about the cooling off provisions of the Nevada ethics law is that it's just for 1 year. From 1 year, when you leave public service, there are certain limitations on who you can go work for, and there are certain limitations on the activities that you can do no matter who you work for. And so when we talk about the cooling off provisions, you're going to want to make sure that you have a good grasp of what both of those restrictions mean. That is it. Thank you for the introduction to ethics categories, and we watch the actual videos on the substance of those categories.